That's the finger.
He does that sometimes. Hi, we're live here on the ICCC podcast stage. That's the best when you start off an intro with a laughter, and so the people at home are like,
they don't know.
What did he say before the camera upset him? What did he say? We are on the podcast stage with James Arnold Taylor, Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Clone Wars,
Yes.
Plo Koon from the Clone Wars,
Yes.
and Ratchet
Ratchet, yeah.
from Ratchet and Clank.
Wow.
Thank you so much, James, for coming to the podcast
Well,
stage
thank
with
you.
us
And I'll
today.
say, hello there. To the little camera. This is a pleasure.
Your hello there is the best. I'm sorry. I had a fanboy.
Well, there's
I had a
different
fanboy
hello
moment for a
there's, you
second.
know? You've got, hello there, come here, my little friend. And then you've got, hello there. And then you've got mine, which is, hello there. So it's just a combination of the two of the other great ones there.
Well,
I
speaking of that, I wanted to ask you a question. You know, Ewan McGregor's played Obi-Wan Kenobi, the great Sir Alec Guinness, and then
Yeah.
you've brought the animated one to the
No pressure.
amazing, no pressure script. Like we had Daniel Logan on yesterday, and I asked him the same question. And he's like, "Oh, no pressure. I'm just Boba Fett." How did you come to the Obi-Wan Kenobi that we know in the Clone Wars and
Well, let me
Rebels?
tell you. Yes, a long time ago in a studio far, far away. No, I'm a voice actor, and so voice actors audition. We spend most of our time in little padded rooms talking to ourselves and auditioning. And so one day, my agents 20 years ago said, "There's this thing for a Ewan McGregor sound-alike for some Star Wars stuff." And I didn't know what it was. He didn't tell me what it was because most things are secretive, right? Especially with Star Wars. And so I read on it, and I had doubled some of Ewan McGregor's things in the past for movies and things. So as a voice actor, I double celebrities a lot.
Oh, okay.
So if, let's say, Christopher Walken isn't able to come in and do his voice on the ICCC,
Yes.
I might come in, I might do it. It's crazy.
Incredible.
Wow. Or, well, wait a second, Doc. You mean to tell me you're on the stage, the podcast stage? Well, that's right, Marty. This is heavy. Wait, no, that's my line, Doc. So I double for people if they're not able to do their own voice. And so I had double for Ewan and a couple things before, and I thought, okay, this is great. So he's doing Alec Guinness, doing Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I'm basically doing Ewan McGregor doing Alec Guinness doing Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I thought, okay, that's easy. That's what I'll do.
That's not complicated at all.
And so I just auditioned for it, and there were a lot of lines from the films that they were having me listen to, and this was when Attack of the Clones had just come out, and
wow.
so I didn't know what it was for.
So we haven't even got to when you started the hello there.
Yeah, no. And then so I did that, and then a few weeks later, my agent called and said, "You booked the Star Wars thing." I said, "Great. What is it? Just like a couple of lines?" They said, "No, it's a cartoon." And this was the micro series.
Right, the one that was on
Andy Tarkovsky's,
Comedy Central,
Cartoon Network.
Cartoon Network.
They were 3-minute little cartoons, and they were very stylized, and they were awesome. But there was we always joked it took longer to park your car and walk to the studio than it did to actually record them because they were 3 minutes. And I'd have a line like, "I'm on my way," and then Anakin. And that was it, So I did that, and then the Revenge of the Sith video game was being made at the same time as the film. So they had me come in and do all of the lines for Obi-Wan. Now that game was the same as the movie. So it mirrored the film.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was one scene one day. David Collins was the director of that game. Now, David is, to Star Wars fans, he's a director, but he's also a voice actor. He's a composer. He has an amazing podcast about music and Star Wars. And
wow.
David himself is an accomplished actor. He was directing it, and he says, "James, there's this stuff we got to show you." And he had this briefcase, handcuffed to him. Can't let
Top
anybody see this.
secret,
Top
George
secret.
Lucas only.
Yeah. And he shows me these scenes on the laptop of Ewan McGregor in this blue room up on this little mound, and he's standing there dressed as Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he says, "You are the chosen one. It was said you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. You're my brother, Anakin. I loved you," and they showed me this scene, and they said, "Can you do that?" And I said, "No."
You were like, "Can I do the Anakin part instead?"
Yeah. Just growl and
I hate
roll
you!
on the ground, yeah. And so I was able to mimic what he did in that level, because Ewan's got this wonderful range.
Right.
He could be very calm and did I say anything? I didn't say anything. He's got that kind of jokey Obi-Wan, and then he has that come to your senses kind of thing.
Right.
And I was able to do those same voices because at that time they wanted me very much to match him because the films were still being made.
Right. Right.
But then, flash forward years later, and we're making the Clone Wars that everybody kind of
2004
knows now. Yeah.
I think.
And we started making it 2 years before it came out. Yes.
Oh.
So we had to be quiet for like 2 years. We couldn't say anything, and then the movie came out, and then the show came out, and that was when they then said, George Lucas and Dave Filoni at the time said, go ahead and make the character your own. So I try to always pay homage to both Sir Alec and Sir Ewan, as I call them, and mesh the two of them into my Obi-Wan.
Man, that everything you just did there blew me away, and I feel like I'm over there. So do you have a moment that playing the character of Obi-Wan Kenobi where you're just like, I can't believe I'm doing this?
Yeah, I mean, so
that you can
those
remember
moments,
that you were just like maybe into like season 3 or something. You're like, I just can't believe this keeps.
Those moments that we even talked about, I think were pretty surreal at the time because here I'm 51. I'm an old man now, and this beard did not have all this gray in it when I'm old Ben. When we started this.
Yeah, technically you were old Ben in Rebels.
That's right. So, but all of the things I've got to do because of Star Wars, I would say would be those moments. There was an event called Star Wars Weekends that happened at Disney World every year for many years.
Many years in June. They were always like in June
And I was the host of it for the last 5 years of it. And so I got to host that and interview everybody from, Mark Hamill, who's a dear friend.
Yeah, I saw you did a lot with Celebration in the past, too.
And then I hosted Celebration a couple years in a row and got to, interview everybody as well. And Frank Oz and all these wonderful people, Jeremy Bullock, Peter Mayhew. I was just over at the folks at the Mayhew Foundation. Everybody, please help the Mayhew Foundation.
Yes.
It's such a great, amazing group of folks, and Angie, Peter's wife, is out there just working hard for so many people.
And he was such an amazing man. He was always so humble.
Peter,
I remember meeting him at Celebration, and I couldn't afford a picture, and he's like, just took a picture, and I was just like, this dude is amazing.
The world of Star Wars is full of wonderful people, and Clone Wars is no exception. All the actors on Clone Wars, Matt Lanter is like, he is my brother. We text all the time. Catherine Tabor is like a little sister to me, Ashley as well. We're just D. Bradley Baker, one of the most talented people on the planet.
I'm hoping that, like Matt did, he got a little cameo in The Mandalorian. I'm hoping that they give one of the, that you get some.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
I know you can't tell me if it's happening, but
nice.
I would be like, I've always been like, man, I just want to see, and what's her name who plays the voice of Ahsoka?
Yeah, Ashley.
Ashley. I would love to see her too, as just talk to Ahsoka for just a second. I think I sound like someone. I love the voice actors because Rebels and Clone Wars are some of my favorite Star Wars. Especially like Plo Koon. So you also do
Jedi Master Plo Koon. So
when you watch Clone Wars and you hear Plo Koon,
he sounds more like this, and he's got kind of a mask on him.
But when I do it in the studio, Dave Filoni, our esteemed director, said Gandalf. That's what he said. He said, James, think of Gandalf. That's my Dave Filoni. I want you to do it
Hail
like
Filoni.
Gandalf. So think Gandalf. He's a big Lord of the Rings fan, Dave is, and so am I. And so
when I do Plo Koon, it's just pretty much Ian McKellen.
Totally.
And so I do that, and then they pitch it down.
Matthew Wood, who is the genius sound designer behind all of these Star Wars things, and it's also General Grievous and the Battle Droids. And
he was the
others.
Grievous in the original Cartoon Network, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, in the original Cartoon Network, it's the only place Matt didn't play Grievous. Yeah.
Oh man, I could have swore. Then they got someone who sounded
very
much like him.
because it's enhanced and stuff too. But yeah.
So I have to ask. Do you remember how old you were? Have you always kind of had this affinity towards voices, or was there a point where you're like, whoa, I can do
glad you
this?
asked that. No, actually, so when I was 4, I realized that people sit in little rooms, in little padded rooms, and talk to themselves doing this stuff. And I saw Mel Blanc. I think I saw some behind-the-scenes stuff of Mel Blanc.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it really struck me. And so from the age of 4, when I was little, I want to do that. And I've known since then that I wanted to be an entertainer and I wanted to do voices. And I was doing voices since as long as I can remember. And it's kind of a fascinating journey that I've had because I've done it since I was a kid. And I just love it. I love creating characters and voices and taking people to other places. And when you're 5'4" and 115 pounds soaking wet, and you're also doing the voice of Fred Flintstone and Andre the Giant whenever he wasn't able to do his voice and such. Yeah.
I didn't ever realize that you did
Oh my
Andre either.
gosh.
Anybody want a peanut?
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I don't know. I was blessed. God's been good to me, and He blessed me with a voice and the ability to do it. And so I just I pull from places, I picture it in my head, and then it comes out of my mouth. So.
Do you enjoy the kind of the duality of being like super famous, like, but also like a little bit unknown, like being able to have the option of flying under the radar?
Yeah, I get to be a celebrity for a day when I go to a con, and people are like, hey,
Hey,
I know
but you
that
know what?
guy.
Us Star Wars fans love you.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love
You've given
everybody.
us some great in between. The movies are great, but the Clone Wars and Rebels take the story so much deeper than you thought that the stories could ever go.
Yeah, and that was the concept behind it. It really was, and it was a great success doing that. But yeah, I love having the ability to, kind of blow people's minds. Go up to a little kid and you go, "Do you know Obi-Wan Kenobi?" And they go, "Yeah." And they look at me weird. "Do you know Johnny Test?" Yeah. You know that Obi-Wan Kenobi and Johnny Test are the same person, and so is
Fred Flintstone and
Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy, and whoever else.
wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Oh, I
That's
forgot he
awesome.
is young. God, you're a man of all trades.
And Cosmo.
Don't ever go insane.
No, well, I think it's too late. Too
Because
late.
all the personalities will go right to the
I
surface.
mean, I'm here on this podcast. Too late.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Cosmo, the telepathic Russian cosmonaut dog, and he is good, yes. No, so he is on Guardians of Galaxy as well.
That
let's
is
see.
amazing.
Ratchet from Ratchet and Clank is my regular voice, so that one's that's boring.
You're like, you don't want to hear Ratchet. You want to hear Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So there's, he's getting
He's
good.
the
I tell you, I do some stuff, and your Obi-Wan is what I go to. I don't go to Ewan. I love Ewan's and Sir Alex, but I love your Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh, well, thank
is some of my favorite. James, thank you so much for joining us on
Thank
the
you.
podcast stage, for giving us some of your
Goodbye
time
then.
today. We know it's a busy day. It's Saturday, usually the busy day of the con, and we
Yeah.
appreciate for you just giving us a little time and
The
Yeah,
thrill
thank
is
you.
all mine.
and just throwing the man of all trades and my childhood. Thank you so much for coming out, and thank
Sure.
everyone for tuning in, and have a good day and stay eclectic.
See ya.